Hey, what's up? This is Chosen, and in this video, I'm going to be going over a video that Wudijo produced recently, talking about that Diablo 4 is in a bad state and the things that need to change to make the game in a better state. And I want to talk about the different topics that he discussed and then share my opinions on where I agree and disagree, and then also contribute some of my thoughts as well, going over the topic of why Diablo 4 is trending in a bad state and what we think here that would help the game improve moving into the end of season 1 and into season 2. Let's get into it. Alrighty, so first of all, sorry for the couple days that I went without posting a video. I said there would be some news I could share with you coming up pretty soon here, and what happened was I actually accepted a position within a new game development studio started by one of the bigger content creators in gaming in Hell Hades, and we're going to be producing games that have a budget in the many millions of dollars, and it's going to be an exciting time to kind of throw my hat into the arena and see what I can do in terms of helping build a game development studio and start actually designing some games myself and be boots on the ground to be able to relay to you from the inside on what are the challenges and what are some of the things that studios have to deal with, and be able to really be a content creator that is going to understand both perspectives. So that is why kind of busy here the last few days and accepting that to help build a new game development studio. But I'm still going to be passionate about playing games, and I'm still going to be a content creator, and I'm still going to be uploading videos sharing my thoughts on different things like this one here with Diablo 4. So, okay, first up, going through what Wudijo talked about, we'll cover those topics, and then I'll add on a few of my own here. So he discussed the UI problems that arise because of cross-platform, like you obviously the game being playable on console as opposed to PC. You're going to have all sorts of different ways to kind of move around that and make it work, and I do agree that's a problem. We see some wonky things happening with that for sure. I wish there would just be like a straight up two different versions of console and PC. They were kind of trying to set it up in a way where you could go into your living room and sit on the couch and play the game with your family or your friends, and then go right into your PC room and play on your PC and really not notice any difference. But I do think it would be better if they just went ahead and split it. Different capabilities, different UI, and there definitely is some adjustments that need to happen with the UI. It gets a little bit weird on like forming a group or joining a clan or managing a clan and the different social features that are going on. I definitely think the UI could use some love. He talked about stash space, which, I mean, that topic has been beaten to death, and we're all on the same page with stash space. There really isn't a whole lot to add to that. And they also coded the game in a way where it's a little bit difficult to add more stash space, which is going to be a problem. But one thing I would like to add on that topic is we really need specialized stash tabs like the currency tabs in Path of Exile. How amazing would it be if we had a stash tab for aspects, just aspects, where it would show like your top 3 of each aspect? That way you can have it nice and laid out. What aspects do I have plenty in stock? What aspects do I not have at all? What aspects do I still need? And you can just go to one aspect stash tab and have it all laid out right there for you, nice and neat, like a currency tab in Path of Exile. Then he talks about respecking. That is a huge disaster in Diablo 4, especially with how many Paragon points that you have to spend. It's really, I mean, we're all in agreement on that as well, as far as having to right click to remove hundreds of Paragon points to reset your boards. That obviously shouldn't be a thing. But one thing I would want to add to that is I think an amazing feature in Diablo 4 would be if, even as a level 1 character, you could spend all of your skill points and all of your Paragon points, and then as you level up, it would just automatically allocate them in that order. So something like that would be a huge quality of life. You wouldn't have to like stop playing while you're in a dungeon to spend your Paragon points or think about it again. You can just kind of plot out your build and then go play, and it will automatically allocate your points. And you can even toggle that as an option for players to turn on or off if they like or dislike that feature. And then Renown. Oh geez. So Wudijo actually had a hot take in that he actually likes Renown, which blows my mind. I think Renown is awful. I think I understand what they wanted to do. They wanted a reason for you to explore the game and enjoy the map and discover the map and place the altars and give you a reason to do the side quests and all of that. But the thing is, I understand what the goal is and what the intention is. It's just not fun. Like, when I do Renown grinding, I feel like I'm doing the dishes. Like, it's something I have to do to keep my house in order, but I don't enjoy it. And so I think Renown needs to be completely scrapped or reworked. I don't think it's something that can kind of be like manipulated or patched a little bit. I just think if you did a poll of the majority of the player base, most people would say it's just not fun, even though we understand the concept of the mechanics. So yeah, I would be fine with making Renown at least like a one and done thing. Like you do it one time, hardcore, softcore, seasonal, non-seasonal, whatever. Once you do it on your account, you are done and you never have to worry about it ever again. At least that would be a good middle ground where they can keep Renown in the game as something that new players can do to explore the map and the different features, but you'll never have to do it again once you're an experienced player. And Wudijo was also talking about how Nightmare Dungeons right now feel like they're the only viable content that is thought out and performing well. And I do agree with that. I think ever since they buffed the density and kind of changed a few things, that Nightmare Dungeons are in a decent place, not perfect. I would like to see things like adding charges to sigils, because especially if they're going to remove the ability for people to reset sigils, I hope they give us sigils that have charges, where you have like a sigil where it rolls 5 to 10 charges. So you have a sigil that you can try to run 8 times before it actually disappears and breaks. And that would make grouping up a lot more fun, where it's like, oh, I've got a Blind Burrows with 9 charges that we can run, and so has a Mercy's Reach with 7 charges, and we can kind of group up and we can be ready to rock for like 25, 30 Nightmare Dungeons without having to meme and break the game by like leaving parties and doing weird resets. So I think that would be a mechanic that would be fun to explore, for example, just off the top of my head. But I do agree that Nightmare Dungeons are in a decent spot, and it's going to be tough, admittedly, to have a bunch of content that players will really want to do all of it, because you're going to end up in a situation in an RPG like Diablo 4 where if something is 5% better, people are going to find the meta and they're going to want to grind that. So it is a difficult process, but I do think there is a lot of room to grow in terms of bringing other stuff up to snuff or adding more content in the game that people would want to farm consistently. And itemization. Yeah, so a lot of Wudijo's concerns here were around like loot filters, and there's no dopamine, there's nothing exciting. Re-rolling of stats is trash. All of that is true. Like, especially with the amount of yellows that you have to keep and sort through, it is tragic that we don't have a loot filter where you can either auto salvage or auto mark things for trash, and if they have certain stats on them, or put certain stats you're looking for and all that. We all agree with that. But then also nothing exciting. There isn't like the primal drops of Diablo 3, and the uber uniques are way too rare that you're never in a situation where like you're linking in your chat like, oh my god, I got a Shaco, like how crazy is this? So yeah, they need to help with like the exciting part of the loot and sorting through it, and then also re-rolling. It doesn't show you the stats that are possible, which is just not intuitive at all for new players. They need a little like icon they can click on to see all of the possible rolls for that slot, like you can do in Diablo 3. And they also need some sort of item like an orb of regret in Path of Exile or something, an item that you can right click and then place onto an item that will reset its gold cost, instead of getting up into the billions and billions of gold to try and roll one stat on one item. There needs to be a way, some sort of rare item like a Ramalandi gift in Diablo 3, something you could place on an item that will reset it back to default instead of just bricking items that you otherwise would have liked. And Woody was also concerned about the lack of crafting in the game, which admittedly, I don't think is a huge problem, but obviously I would love to see more mechanics in the game and more ways to craft. I really liked the way Diablo 3 did it with the Hellfire Amulets. Like, they have the uber bosses, and there was a reason to go farm them, because then you could make Hellfire Rings and Hellfire Amulets and get access to extra passives and stuff that you could only get that item in that specific way. But I didn't like how it took your amulet slot. I would almost like to see a new mechanic like a relic or something, and you can only get relics and craft them and roll them by doing uber bosses, but it doesn't steal like a ring or an amulet slot. So I would agree that some sort of crafting mechanic for an extra piece of gear or a better piece of gear would be a lot of fun if it came to Diablo 4. And then his last topic was the seasonal theme being lackluster, and we're all kind of in the same understanding that Blizzard, they wanted to have seasons right away after release, and the problem that caused was they don't have enough time to focus on making the season 1 as robust as it should have been, and then they have the problems that are surrounding the barber and the different mechanics and all of that. I think it's actually kind of cool. I mean, they have the stuff like the Necromancer being able to auto-detonate corpses, but it's definitely definitely a little bit underwhelming. Some interesting things, but I'd give the seasonal theme like a 3.5 out of 10. It's not a 0, but they could have definitely made it a lot more robust. And I hope season 2, now that the game is actually out and everything's kind of done and released, that they've got a few months here to make season 2 a lot better than season 1 was. So that was the topics that Wudijo thought were kind of the most pressing right now. And I definitely agree with all of that. I wanted to share my perspective on where I'm thinking compared to Wudijo. But there's also a couple things that I would want to talk about on my own as well, separate from things that Woody talked about in his video. And that would be trading is just really bad. Like a game like an RPG with Diablo, you really want a player-driven economy. And there's no streamlined way. There's no like official Blizzard website to go to where it's an easy way to get in touch with people and trade. Everybody's like out here doing these third-party websites or, you know, D2JSP or Discord servers or whatever, trying to post their items and interact and trade. There needs to be like an official Blizzard way to do it, ideally in game, and ideally done in a way to negate botting and their ability to flood the market with tons of stuff, but some sort of a way to pull off trading in a more effective way so we can get a better economy within Diablo 4. And also the social aspect of the game, you know, the clan features and the chat and the global channels and just how alone the game can feel really needs a little bit of work. The social aspect of Diablo 4 really isn't in a place I would consider up to the 2023 standards, especially when you're trying to have it be a little bit more of an MMO type of game where you're running around doing hell tides and running into a bunch of different people and all of that. Things like, the reason I say this are there's no way to easily group up. Like you can't kind of like go into an in-game group finder like, you know, on Diablo 2 where you kind of go through and you see a games list where people can type like, hey, I'm going to be running Bale runs, or I'm going to be doing Mephisto runs, join up on me if you're this level. You can't see stuff like that in Diablo 4, or someone can put like, I'm level 72, I'm going to farm Nightmare Dungeons for 3 hours. Does anybody who's level 65 plus want to join up? You know, things like that need to be in the game so that we can get a lot more interaction among players and people making friends and people being able to fill up their clans and recruit and interact with each other. I think that the social aspect of Diablo 4 could get a lot better. And also let me know your thoughts down below on what you think are the most pressing issues, where you agree or disagree with anything that me or Wudijo said. And a shout out to Wudijo for his video. I will link down below to the full source material. Definitely go head on over there and give Wudijo a subscribe and a like. I'm sure a lot of you already have, but it's always good to throw some support out there to the original source material. And I really enjoyed hearing Wudijo's perspective and wanted to let you know where I agree and disagree and provide further context on that. So thanks for watching. I will see you soon in the next video. Peace.